Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, October 28th, 2017. This is 1434. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about, tech, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, vocal assistants. I need a name for that. Vocal assistants. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still call, use Skype. And it should be a free call if you use your Skype out to 888, which is a toll-free number, 888-827-5536. Website, techguylabs.com. That's a good place to keep in mind because you'll probably hear things on the show that do one of two things. Either make you want to write something down, I got to remember that, or go there, or buy that, or do that. The other is, I might say something that makes you yell at the radio. And I don't want your blood pressure to go through the roof. I don't want you to yell at the radio. You can yell at me much more easily by going to the website, techguylabs.com. Each page of Tech Guy Labs is a device. Each show is a page. Each page has as hour by hour. So by show by hour, and then by question or comment or a conversation within that hour. And then if you get there, there's a comment section, and you can leave a comment. We don't charge for this. It's not a subscription. It's free to everyone. And the only thing we kind of do make you sign up for is if you want to leave a comment, we ask you to sign in with your Twitter or Facebook or Google account. That way, it avoids. We don't have to worry about spam and stuff like that. TechGuyLabs.com. Whether to comment, to add, or to yell, or just to check. It's all there. Let's see. I said we need a name for all of these devices. There are more and more all the time that you talk to. Harman Kardon this week released something called the Invoke. It's the first Cortana device. So it's all started 2 years ago now with the Amazon Echo. It was a black cylinder that you talked to, and it would respond. And people, I think I'm pretty typical. I put it in the kitchen first. I think that's what people did back in the day when we first got these. We put them in the kitchen and used it as a kitchen timer. Echo set a timer for 5 minutes. Timer set for 5 minutes. And that actually was pretty useful. The Echo allows you to do multiple timers. You can now name them. Set a timer for beats for 3 minutes. Beat timer set. And then you could even ask it. You could query it. How much time is left in my beat timer? And then as time went by, people found more and more uses for it. I guess the next big use was music. Echo. You can have different those are called the trigger words. And I'm not going to use the most common trigger word, the female name Alexa, because I don't want to trigger anybody's Echoes at home. So I'll just say Echo. You could set it to be Echo, Amazon Computer, which is kind of fun. But you really, probably the Alexa word is the better because unless you have a child named that, you're not likely to be saying it. Echo's the next best. And the problem with computer and Amazon is those things come up in conversation. You don't want it to go, and it goes bloop whenever you say its name. Next thing was music. Echo, play me some Elvis. That's kind of fun. So music and a timer, but we found more uses for it. And as home automation has kind of crept into the world, if you're one of those, and I think this is a special kind of geek who sets up their lights or TV or front doorbell or security cameras, you can have them work with your Echo too. I could say if I have an Echo, now they have so many Echoes. There's not just a black tube. There's a little flap tube. There's a battery-powered tube. They've covered the tubes, so they've moved on. Now they have one with a screen that's called the Echo Show. They announced a few more a few weeks ago, including one that's round that looks like an alarm clock, has a little screen you put next to your bedside table. That's a little controversial because it has a camera built into it. The cameras are useful because you can make video calls. They also have one called the Look, which I just got yesterday, that finally came out. And this one is fashion-focused, fashion-forward. It has its own special app. And the idea is you put it in your closet and you say, hey, what do you think of my outfit? Literally. And then in ways that I'm not completely clear, it looks at your outfit, decides that's the good one or that's not such a good one. Or it helps you. Like if you had your friend over and you said, well, should I wear this tonight or should I wear that? It does that, I guess. And apparently it's some combination of human and machine intelligence doing that. But of course we know what the real purpose is. The real purpose is for Amazon to get an idea of what kind of clothes you like so they can sell you more clothes. And I'm sure we'll integrate into a shopping experience sooner or later. A home, what do they call it? A personal shopper, right? It'll help you choose your stuff. I'm not sure why they put a camera on the bedside clock. I can't really think of a use for that, but they did. Most of the Echoes don't have cameras, but the newer ones seem to. Oh, a cynical person would say, well, Amazon wants to map your surroundings, see what you have. Because really, what is Amazon's big business? Everything they do, whether it's the home video stuff, the Amazon TV and movies, whether it's the Echoes, it's all designed around getting you to buy more stuff at Amazon. That's Amazon's goal, right? To be your ultimate store. People are starting to get a little bit concerned about this, incidentally. Lately, there's been a number of articles. A guy named Scott Galloway wrote a book, I have it here somewhere, about the big companies, Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Microsoft, that are increasingly dominating our it's on Karsten's desk, John, if you're looking for it. He came in to look for the book for me. Increasingly dominating to the point where they're kind of a monopoly. They're not an actual monopoly, but it's not hard to imagine a time when Amazon becomes so adept at selling you the things you want so easily, via speech even. Echo, buy me a new house. I see one down the road on Cherry Street. It's selling for $384,000, 8 rooms, 4 baths, and a swimming pool. Would you like to buy it? Yes. What's your PIN code? 0255. You've purchased it. Congratulations. Well, maybe not a house, but more and more of what we buy, to the point where you may not, already Amazon's put bookstores out of business in many, many localities. Many malls are closing. Sears is on the brink. All the electronic stores. They were the first to go, right? Radio Shack and so forth. Because, remember CompUSA? Because people who are techie, basically stopped buying stuff in stores. They just bought it all online. So it's not hard to imagine a time when Amazon just completely dominates all commerce, e-commerce. Or, that might be a little scary, because what happens when you dominate? Well, then at that point, you just start raising prices, because where else are they going to go? Actually, I could correct myself. Scott's big four are Amazon, Facebook, Google, and not Microsoft, but Apple. Others, like Farhad Manjoo at the New York Times, talk about 5 and include Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, and Google. These are dominant companies in our lives these days. Are they too powerful? Do they wield too much power? Certainly, there's a big conversation about how much they affected Twitter and Facebook affected the election, how they were used. I find it interesting, and I don't know. I wonder what you think. Is Amazon too big? Microsoft and Facebook too big? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Kim Shaffer's ready to take your call. We can talk high tech when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And if I just bought a house on your Echo, I apologize. Mostly, I'm pleased to see the TiVo Vox. Mike B is asking me if I'm going to buy the new Vox because it means they are the new owners are making hardware. Because remember, they said that they weren't interested in hardware. But I don't care to talk to my TV that much, and I have other things if I wanted to that I could do that. It's just kind of parity with Xfinity and Roku and Apple TV, all of these things that you can talk to. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo was sharing with the chat room our experiences yesterday, Friday morning, 12:01, trying to get an iPhone 10. That's crazy. I don't even want to talk about it. It's embarrassing to talk about. The fact that I have an excuse. I was trying to get it for review, right? Did not get it by next Friday. It's going to be 3 more weeks before I get mine, but that's all right. I can live with that. How about you, Kim Shaffer? Did you get up early to order an iPhone?
I'm going to keep my 6S Plus until it dies.
You're smart. That's right.
I don't have the money for that. Forget it.
It's embarrassing to even admit that. It's like getting in line or whatever. It's just embarrassing to admit that you do that.
And I'm not an Apple fanboy anyway. Girl.
You're an Android. Oh, no, you use an Apple.
I'm using an Apple now. I like them both.
It doesn't matter to you.
It doesn't matter. It's a phone. It's for
it's
functionality.
You're sensible.
Yeah. I don't need the latest and greatest. It works for me.
You're a sensible person, a normal person.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for the people who are shelling out $1,000 every
forget
year.
$1,000. This phone, I finally did get it on order. I won't get it until the 24th, or no, the 17th, I guess. But before tax, $1,149.
Forget it.
Forget about it.
No, I mean, mine is finally. I bought it the day after Thanksgiving 2 years ago, so it's finally paid off.
There's nothing wrong, and there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it. So
I guess it was kind of hard to get through. So that means a lot of people were trying to get it, although it's a fairly limited production.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what to say or think, but there you go. There you have it. The iPhone 10. We'll talk a little more about it and so forth.
So what are you going to do with your 8 when you
Well, there you go. I
just
just bought this phone. It's not a month old.
Exactly.
Thank you, Apple. It's really gotten out of control.
Yeah.
It's all out of control. It makes you just want to move to an island where there's no internet and just enjoy the beautiful sea and sky. I'm not looking at my screen. I'm looking at the ocean.
That's what I did this week. It was beautiful.
See?
It's one of the last weeks that we'll probably get that kind of
Weather's
weather.
been
So
decent,
I went out to Bodega Bay and I went and
Smart.
collected sand dollars.
Perfect. While I'm
The
sitting at
simple things in
home
life.
pressing refresh.
Yeah,
refresh. Refresh, trying to get into the Apple store. Ridiculous. I'm almost angry at Apple for making me do that. Almost.
Well, we could talk about Apple.
Well, what do you got? You've been lining up people here.
Yeah,
I see.
well, Joshua just bought his 8 3 weeks ago, and he already hates it, and he wants to know what his options are. He's having a lot of glitchy problems, and he doesn't know, is it just the phone, or
That's a
does
good
he have
question.
a lemon, or
let's talk.
What should he do? All right.
Thank you, Kim Shaffer. Hello, Joshua. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yeah, how's it going?
It's good. I gather you don't like your new phone.
I don't know if I like it or if I hate it. I like a lot of stuff about it. The sound quality's great, but I've had it for 3 weeks now, and it just constantly it's freezing up. It glitches. If I set the phone down on the face side of it, of course the side that you would talk to.
Yeah.
If I set it down too long on that side, when I put the phone back, the screen will be completely cockeyed, and then you actually have to close the phone again and then hit the home button again just for it to, operate. You can't do any functions from there.
Oh, yeah. You have a lemon. This is not normal.
Yeah.
So I have an iPhone 8. My wife has an iPhone 8. Battery life is less than the previous ones I found. I think that we both have had surprisingly bad battery performance. I think that's kind of related to applications continuing to run when they shouldn't. I'm not sure, but I feel like that. But other than that, it's really surprisingly similar to the iPhone 6S and 7. I don't think it's that much different. So if you're experiencing those weirdnesses, yeah, take it back to the Apple Store. You can. I don't know what their policy is. I know for sure 2 weeks for any reason, you can take it back. And I think within the first month, you probably can say, look, I'm unhappy with this. But what would you, I mean, what would you want? Would you want your money back or a different iPhone or?
No, I want to keep the iPhone. I've had numerous. I just got rid of a 6S and I loved it until I shattered the screen and the home button fell out of it. Then I just thought, okay, I don't have a choice. I gotta go get one.
This is an appropriate upgrade. I mean, the camera's better. You know, it's much faster. There's some nice new features in it. I would just bring it back to them and tell them what's happening. They should just swap it out. You have a lemon.
Okay, so you just feel comfortable telling me that it's probably a lemon.
Yes, I could. None of that's normal. And if that's happening on a consistent basis, and I can tell you from personal experience because I have an iPhone 8, so I have an 8 Plus.
Sure.
So, and my wife has an 8 as well. So that's not normal. And I know many people, obviously, who have 8s. That's not normal. None of that's normal.
Okay, so real quick before we hang up, so I have, of course, I got Verizon. So in the left-hand side of the phone, you know, it shows your signal strength, shows Verizon, shows LTE, and then next to that constantly, like right now we're on the phone, and I constantly have like the I'm searching circle, and it just continues to just go and go and go. And is that normal, or do you know anything about that?
No. Have you seen that on your 6S? Did you see that?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a lemon. There are, I have to say, iOS 11 has some cosmetic glitches that I've noticed with screens sometimes getting stuck and things like that. But you shouldn't be seeing that a lot. And you certainly, the searching is bothering me. That means it can't find a cell tower. It could be that you're in a kind of a weak area, but if you didn't see it on your 6S, you shouldn't be seeing it on your 8. No,
right now, Leo, I got 5 bars. I'm in an actually really good area.
But you're still flipping over to searching every once in a while?
It's like right now it's showing me the circle next to the LTE sign, and it's like it's searching for something. I don't know what it would be searching for.
If it's not saying searching, but it's actually just circling.
Yes, it just shows a circle next to a perforated circle. You know.
Yeah, I think that might just be them. That might just be saying you're using data.
Okay, yeah, maybe so. And like I said, I don't know this phone. You know, I've only had it for 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks now. Right.
So the bars are phone quality, and then the LTE is an indicator that you have an LTE signal. I don't think that. If it said searching, that's definitely not right. Right? That's not what it should be doing. But I think let me just see. I'm going to look on mine and see as I download data and things. That circling bar just means it's getting data. It's accessing data. That's normal.
Okay.
You're right. You know what? That is confusing. I hadn't thought about it because that's the same exact circle it shows and Macintoshes show when they're working. And that's not a very good signal. What it should have is an up and down arrow to let you know, oh yeah, we're accessing the internet via LTE. That's normal. If it says searching, that's another matter. That means it's not finding a signal. But I would still take it back to the Apple Store and say, look, and show them, especially that face down thing. That's weird. Show them, and I think that sounds like you got a lemon. They should swap that out. It's so recent, you know. It's only 3 weeks old, and they have good news. They have lots of iPhone 8s to swap it out with. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Actually, Scott Wilkinson. Yeah, that circling is just that's normal. That's normal. Let me rejoin. Turn my Wi-Fi back on here. See, because that looks like when you see it circling there, it's looking for a network. But when it does it up here, that's confusing. That means it's trying to find data, or it's accessing data, not trying to find it. That's actually confusing. Hello, Scotty.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
Bump. I'm well. I am well. I'm feeling good. I got my iPhone 10 ordered, and I don't even care that it's not going to come for 2 weeks because I just bought the iPhone 8, and
Yeah, I've still got a 6.
I'm really tired of all this, frankly. I think you're smart. You're normal. Stick with the phone you got. The 6 is fine. Mm-hmm. And I really hate this rat race that these companies have got us on.
Yeah.
I actually told my wife the other day. I said I don't want to buy another phone. I'm done. And she slapped me and says, "Snap out of it, Laporte.
Snap out of it.
It's your job." And
well,
I said,
sort of the same thing happens in the home theater world. I mean, TV manufacturers come out with new models every year.
And they're not necessarily hugely better, right?
Well, no, they are improved typically.
Yeah, okay.
There might have been something in last year's model that people sort of complained about, and the companies address it, and that's good.
That's good.
But we talk in our industry, and I'm sure you do too, about the dreaded disease upgrade-itis.
Yeah.
Just you've always got to get the latest thing.
Yeah, I think we need a cure. I feel like I don't feel like
inoculation.
I don't know. It'd be interesting if I didn't have to. If I still would. I do have to because I have to talk about these phones.
Exactly.
And I guess one of the reasons I got into this business way back when is because I wanted to have the latest and greatest. I remember explicitly that was the kind of the point. Mm-hmm. But now and it's so expensive. This new phone. $1,149 for the new iPhone.
Even if
10.
you sign up for a 2-year contract.
That's I'm not signing up for 2-year contracts.
Well,
but I think that the monthly payments don't save you money. No, they just make it feel better. It's only $40 a month for the next 2 years.
Yeah,
that's about the same price.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, that's not what you're. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
I apologize. Tell me, my friend, what's new in the world of home theater?
Well, I just got back from the technical conference put on by SMPTE, the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, and they get together every year and have 4 days of super geek out. And a lot of technical conferences, seminars and presentations and papers and so on. One of the most interesting things, there was a lot on AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality. And, SMPTE, so here are these movie and TV engineers thinking about how are we going to tell stories in VR? What will movies look like in VR? Will it be the same as it is now? I don't think so. Because there's a sense of immersion. You have to tell a story in a different way when you're not strictly focused on the screen in front of you, right? You can look around. And so there were a couple of people who introduced experiments that they had done. One was basically a little story, a little short movie about a kid and his imaginary friend. And you could choose whether or not you were in the perspective of the imaginary friend or the kid's mother, or you were a fly on the wall, essentially more like a regular movie and just watching the action. But you could still look around the room and see what was going on. We didn't actually see it. I mean, this was a presentation. One that you can actually see, and I thought was really interesting, was from some grad students at USC, and they did something called Arnold with AR, both capped, a short AR film, and they did it for the Microsoft HoloLens, which isn't available yet. That's a head-mounted display.
Yeah.
It's only available to developers, and it's like $3,000 or $5,000. But it's not commercially available. But they were doing this experiment of having a real room with chairs and couches and so on, scanning it to know where everything is in the room, and then putting a CGI dog in the room, and it would be able to jump up on chairs, and it wanted to go outside, and you'd say, here boy, and it would come running to you. So I thought that was very interesting, and they also released that in a much more limited form on, speaking of iPhones, on the Apple App Store. And you can search for Arnold and an AR short movie. And I tried it on my iPhone 6, and the iPhone 6 doesn't work. You need something more.
Oh, really? Ah.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it'll actually scan only one plane in your room, so the floor, essentially. It won't. It's not as sophisticated on the iPhone to scan, where the chairs and couches are, and the windows and doors and so on, and know where the dog can jump up on or whatever. But I thought it was a very interesting experiment, and you can, in fact, try it at home if you have a late enough iPhone. Your iPhone 8 probably will work. I don't know that for sure, but it'd be worth checking out.
Yeah,
anyway.
Of course it'll work. Yeah. This is probably using the new AR kit that Apple.
Probably
has.
so. Oh,
Yeah.
AR kit. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. They mentioned that.
Yeah.
That's exactly
It
right.
makes it a little easier. It's not as good as real AR, but it makes it a little easier for a developer to do,
So this seemed to me to be kind of the next step beyond, what was that game? Pokemon Go.
Right.
Where that was AR, and you were walking around your town, right? And you saw these CGI creatures in the midst of a real scene. So this was another step toward that. And so I thought it was interesting that the
Would you want to spend time watching that? I mean...
Well, again, these are experiments.
Yeah.
This is early days. But the real question is, how do you tell a story
when you can't
in VR?
Tell the story, yeah.
Yeah, how do you do that? That people are still struggling with that, trying to figure it out.
I am downloading Arnold right now, an AR short
you go.
film. You search for Arnold, an AR short film.
Yeah, it was easy to find. I tried to do it and it said, sorry, your phone isn't.
Yeah, I think you have to have a
work.
6S or later. Yeah. It's probably horsepower. It takes a lot of horsepower to do it.
Probably does, exactly. So
the idea is Arnold is a dog, but he's in your life.
Yeah, exactly. In your room, in your house. Yeah. And, he wants, I guess the story is he wants to get outside. But he goes outside and it's raining outside. And so he comes back in. I mean, again, there's like yawn, so what? But again, this is an experiment. This is people trying things out to see what works, what doesn't.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
It's a new medium.
It's a new medium, and that's kind of exciting. I got an email from someone saying, can I get a head-mounted display that'll just show me TV? Yes, you can, but they're kind of uncomfortable. Sony makes them. There are a couple others. I've always thought that was kind of a cool idea of actually putting a 100-inch screen in front of your face.
Okay, so now I've got Arnold. It says, scan the floor for 10 seconds until the blue rectangle covers your floor. Tap where the blue line meets a wall to set the scene. Oh, come on. Oh, my. This is way too much.
Way too much to deal with?
Too much trouble, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just to see a dog, well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe a kid would like it. I think the real problem is... And we've seen this before with nonlinear storytelling, is that the real skill of storytelling, and I'll leave this to all the Hollywood types listening, but the real skill of storytelling is about telling people where to look, what to see, what's going on, controlling the story.
Exactly.
Scott Wilkinson, the conversation continues at avsforum.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'd rather watch Stranger Things and let them tell me
tell you the story.
What the story is. I mean,
well,
so now I guess Arnold's
passive and active.
Right. I guess Arnold's dog door is now in my So is he going to come out of there?
Did you scan your room?
Well, yeah, but so there's a door. I don't know where Arnold is. I guess he's not. Oh, there's Arnold. There he is. Oh, he just went through. He can't get through his door. He's trying to get outside, right? That's what you said?
Yeah, he's trying to get outside.
Yeah. So
he wants to escape, as most dogs do.
He was always trying new and creative ways to reach the door. Okay, so I got to find Arnold again. There's some floppy disks on my desk. Those weren't there before.
AR floppy disks.
AR floppy or something. Okay, I'm already sick of it. That's the problem with a lot of this stuff is it's interesting.
For a second.
For a second. Yeah, you use it once, and then you go, okay. Yeah, that's...
Well, again, it's only an experiment.
It's interesting. I mean, Arnold's in my world.
Yep.
Yeah. Huh. What's this? Another door? Oh, great. All right, I'll let you take over here, Scott.
All right, no problem. Twisted Mister, does Arnold soil the carpet if he can't get out? That's great. So, yeah, and does he whine if you leave the phone? I don't know. I just bring it up as an interesting experiment, as people trying different things. And how, if you don't try different things, how will you know what works and what doesn't? Because it is a brand new media world. I don't know how people would make a true VR movie. I do know that a number of theater chains like IMAX and AMC are starting to install VR experience centers in their theaters, in their not in the theater itself, but in the facility somewhere else nearby. And I haven't tried one of those yet, but I am going to go try one. A lot of them are just shoot 'em ups and stupid stuff that I'm not interested in. But, flying like an eagle over the landscape or something, that could be kind of cool. So it's coming. And that's why the SMPTE people were trying to figure it out and are still trying to figure it out. What do we do to make a compelling experience? Obviously, Arnold isn't necessarily a compelling experience, but it's something. It's moving the ball forward, and maybe it's obviously not the final place where the ball's going to end up, but they're moving it. They're working on it. They're trying different things. UJ, do you think Pixar will pull off a VR movie with Coco VR? That's very interesting. I wrote about that on AVS Forum, and I'm really excited to see Coco when it comes out. This is the latest Pixar movie set. I don't know if it's set in Mexico. I think it is, because it's around the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, which is coming right up here. It's not going to be, I think the movie's not going to be released till Thanksgiving, but they are going to release along with it a Coco VR experience for, remind me, UJ, if you can remember. I can't right now. I think it's, I'm pretty sure it's for the Oculus Rift and maybe HTC Vive. I don't remember exactly. There's a couple of them. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to check it out and see what it's about. Will it be compelling? I don't think it's the same movie. I don't think it's a movie. I think you move through the space or the environment of the movie Coco.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. I'm turned into a curmudgeon on this. We were talking with Scott Wilkinson of the AVS Forum earlier about augmented and virtual realities. I'm kind of become the curmudgeon on this. I was all excited about it. I went out and bought the Oculus Rift. That's Facebook's visor headset, and the HTC Vive. Each of them fairly expensive. In fact, built an expensive machine because it takes a lot of horsepower to do it. And played the games and was really, as many people are when they first use, this is virtual reality, very excited. Oh, this is cool. This is great. This is the next new thing. I remember showing my kids and saying, look, you'll remember, you'll look back on this and say, the first time I tried virtual reality. And then after a month or two, it was kind of like the Nintendo Wii. Remember how exciting that was? And then it was like, no, back to the old 2D stuff. Now the new thing is augmented reality. Same thing. I'm very excited. This is the future of human interface design. This is where we're going to be in a few years. And, maybe this one, I still have a little higher hopes for augmented reality. That's the idea, is you're looking at the real world and something superimposing information or graphics onto that real world. Has some advantages over virtual reality. For one thing, people tend not to get as nauseous. Virtual reality is fairly nauseating. Augmented reality, because you still have as a reference point the real world you're looking at, isn't so bad. But it requires an equal amount of horsepower, and all the augmented reality we're using these days, for the most part, is holding up an iPhone or an iPad or a Google phone and pointing it at things. And how long? What are you going to do that? That's something you can do for a few minutes. It's not something you're going to do for 2 hours. So the real problem with augmented reality is we don't yet have the hardware that makes it make sense. What's going to happen, I think, but it may take a while, is something more like what Microsoft's doing with Hololens. That's a visor you put on. And the problem with the HoloLens is it's very early days. It's very primitive. The only part of the augmented reality is a small kind of mail slot of augmented reality. The rest of the world's just there. But I can imagine a day 5 years out, perhaps, where you're wearing what looks like normal spectacles, normal glasses, and they have some hardware and a pretty darn good battery. That's one of the things we have to solve is the battery. We need to be able to get powerful computing technology in the size of, say, a Temple piece. That I think we're close to. If you look at an iPhone, it's got a lot of power in it. But then we need enough battery to keep it going. And then some sort of heads-up display so that you're looking at the world. One hopes not as if you're looking at it through sunglasses, but at close to full brightness. That's the other problem I have with 3D in films is it really is dim, right? So it needs to be full brightness, so you're looking at the world normally. And then wouldn't it be cool? You're walking down the street and whoop, little bubble pops up as you approach somebody. You go, I know he's familiar. Who is that? And the bubble says, oh, you know him. That's your neighbor Jim. And you can say, hi, Jim. I can see some use for that. Or you're in an unfamiliar town and you're looking around and you're seeing restaurants around you and you can see the ratings, the availability when they're open, that kind of stuff. There's some value to that. And ultimately, Microsoft hopes that will be also your user interface. So you'll be, instead of looking at a computer screen, you'll be looking with these glasses. And instead of using a mouse, you'll just use hand gestures, kind of like Tom Cruise in Minority Report. Remember how he swept screens out of the way with his hands? That's probably the most futuristic look at augmented reality, but we're a long way off from that. The technology is not anywhere near that. But as Scott said, I mean, the reasonable thing to do now would be to presume that future is coming and try stuff, learn about it, so that when we have the technologies, we'll have the tools and the skills. Twisted Mister in our chat room says, I already use hand gestures while driving. Careful with those. John in, let's see, Carlsbad, California. Hi, John. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
Well, here's the scoop. I'm a landscape contractor, and I'm trying to convert over from the digital controlling clocks to Wi-Fi. And I'm in a shopping center where there's quite a few retailers, and one in particular where my clock is outside of their business said it's okay to kind of piggyback, for lack of a better word, onto their Wi-Fi with their password, but it's too weak to even travel like 15 feet to connect me.
Yeah.
Is there like a booster thing that I could plug inside their business to up it a bit?
That you would carry around or that they would install?
No, that I would install into their retail business.
Yeah.
On their side.
Yeah.
My clock literally is on the other side of the wall on the outside because electricity access.
Got it. So you would be using their Wi-Fi in their place of business, and the problem is you reaching their Wi-Fi, not the irrigation timer. It can see that their Wi-Fi fine?
Well, it comes up on my smartphone as a selection, but when I go through the process with this particular clock, evidently the signal isn't strong enough.
Yeah,
to make
so it's not merely that the signal is not strong enough to you and your phone to control the irrigation, but it's weak even to the irrigation controller.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is, I mean, you've got a big, probably there's rebar in the concrete wall. If there's metal at all, it'll just kill Wi-Fi signals. There's not. Yeah, this is a bit of a challenge. You can certainly buy boosters for their Wi-Fi signal, but it needs to be boosted in both directions. Wi-Fi is a two-way technology. It's not just a receiver on the irrigation controls or on your end. You need to send as well. So you kind of need to boost the whole thing all the way around. The way we handle this in residential environments is with these new mesh Wi-Fi routers where you have a base station and you have satellite stations. But it doesn't sound like the issue here is that you're trying to cover too large an area. The issue is really you can't get through those concrete rebar walls.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can try range extenders. What you'll have to do is put a range extender right by where the irrigation control box is. And you're next door to this guy?
Yeah, I mean, our controller literally is on the outside wall of their business.
Yeah, I understand. The wall's the problem. And then you are having trouble reaching them too, right, with your computer. You're using a phone. What are you using to...
Well, I want to connect with my smartphone. Yeah, with my phone.
And where are you? Are you next door?
Physically, or the clock that I want.
No, I'm not worried. So do you have two problems here? One is that the irrigation timer has to see their Wi-Fi, but the other is that you have to see their Wi-Fi. Because you got to get on their network to control the irrigation timer. Are you not having trouble getting on their network?
I'm having trouble getting on their network. See, here's the thing. You install the clock.
No, I understand. I understand. Yeah. I just need more detail. When you open your phone, do you see their network and you get plenty of bars? In other words, you could use their network to surf the net, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the issue is not you connecting to them. The issue is merely their network reaching the irrigation controller.
Correct.
Yeah. So the best way to do this would be to get an extender, a wired extender that would go outside, and then be a Wi-Fi signal outside. Because I'm guessing, and I'm sure I'm right in this, that the wall is the issue. Because it's not distant as the crow flies. If a crow could fly through concrete, it's not distant.
It's the material.
It's the material. And so you could try, the easiest, cheapest thing to do would be go to get a TP-Link Wi-Fi extender and plug it in, just on the other side of the wall. And maybe that would be strong enough to get through the wall. But if it's not, then the next thing you kind of do is you need to put a wire through the wall and put an extender on the other side. If there is a plug on the other side of the wall, there must be, because the irrigation controller needs power, and that is on the same power grid as the shop inside. There's another thing you could do called power line networking, and this might be the best way to do it. Power line networking uses the electrical grid to carry the signal, not Wi-Fi, but through the grid. It's a little slower, but speed is not an issue with an irrigation controller. So that's another way to do it. If the plug for the irrigation controller is on the same exact, there's no separate boxes or anything, but the same exact wiring as the shop, then I would get a power line networking. You need one on both ends. You can use Wi-Fi or direct Ethernet, and that would work very well. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Da-da-da-da. Sorry, Scott, I had to abruptly cut you off.
Yeah, sorry about that. No problem.
No, it's not your fault. I was getting a cup of coffee, and I ran back with seconds to spare, not enough time to say, "Excuse me, but I must cut you off." So now you have all 509, 443. You have plenty of time.
Thank you. So, hey, everybody. It's good to see you. I hope you're having a good Saturday. We were talking about somebody here asked me, who was it? Mike B. on the 4K TiVo Vox, which is the latest TiVo box with voice control. And I haven't tried it, or really hadn't even heard of it before. I think it's coming out, being released in the next day or two. So I looked it up, and looks interesting. I've always loved TiVo. TiVo user interface, awesome. So should be great. Voice control is a cool thing. Mike B says it's Atmos enabled, so that's kind of interesting. If it gets Atmos from streaming, which it would do. Let me see if I look at it here. What is it doing? Whether it's, I'm sure it must be over-the-air TV and streaming. Yep, October 29th, which is today, isn't it? No, tomorrow. So I don't know whether or not, let's see, it's okay, yeah, live TV channels, DVR recording, and online streaming. So the only way to get Atmos would be by online streaming. I forget who does online streaming now, Atmos streaming now. There's one or two services. I forget who they are. Somebody in the chat room
I think Netflix just added it, I think.
Did they? Okay. Well, then that's the way to do it. UJ tells me the Coco VR will be released for the Oculus Rift and the Gear VR. I was wrong. It wasn't HTC Vive. It was Gear VR. And I think Gear VR comes later. Oculus Rift comes first, and then Gear VR comes on when the movie is released on November 22nd. I'm looking forward to that movie tremendously. I just think it's got the potential to look fabulous. I don't know whether it's been graded in high dynamic range. I think it must have been. It's Pixar, and they did Inside Out in HDR, so I'm assuming they're going to do this as well. And from the trailers, it just looks amazing. Just amazing. So let's see. Yes, tomorrow, Mike B. Jack is asking if I've had a chance to check out the Apple 4K TV. Not yet. Not yet. Actually, my associate, Mark Henninger, is getting one first. I'm working actually on a review of a much more expensive product called the Kaleidoscape Strato, which is a movie server. Basically, you buy DVD, Blu-ray, or Ultra HD Blu-ray movies from their movie store, downloads into this server, and it plays bit-for-bit identical copies from what you would get on an Ultra HD Blu-ray or a DVD. Unlike most services, certainly streaming services, and even downloaded services, in which the movies are compressed more than they are on the actual disc. Kaleidoscape's claim to fame is that they are not more compressed. They are identical bit-for-bit copies. And they went through a lot of legal shenanigans or tribulations, shall we say, about this, because in the beginning, when they were a DVD server, they had you rip your DVDs into their system. And, oh, yeah, that turned out to be illegal because it broke copy protection. So they had a lot of court cases and problems with that. With Blu-rays, they changed their story. They said, okay, you can rip the Blu-ray into our server, but you have to have the physical disc in the system somewhere, in a drive. And they make things still like what's called the disc vault, in which you can load 300 some discs into it. And if that disc, that physical disc, is present in the system, and the system can go, oh yeah, there's the disc, then it'll play the copy because it knows you actually have the disc. With Ultra HD and with the Strato, they changed the story yet again, and you don't have to have the disc, but you have to buy the movie from their store. And they've obviously made arrangements, agreements with the studios to allow them to do that. And those copies are bit for bit identical with the discs themselves. And they're not any appreciably different price than the discs themselves. Blu-rays are 10 to 20 bucks. Ultra HD Blu-ray titles are 25 to 35 bucks. And they have over 200 HDR titles. So anyway, that's why I don't have the Apple 4K TV yet, is that I'm working on the Kaleidoscape Strato. So that's what I'm doing there. Sybil, live long and prosper to you. One of my favorite Trekkies. Let's see. Revdan Oreo. Yes, Oculus will bring Coco VR to its Rift headset November 15, then to the Gear VR on November 22nd. Yeah, that's what I thought I remembered. Yeah, the Strato is really quite remarkable. It's a beautiful, beautiful system, but it's expensive. I mean, it comes in a 6 terabyte or a 10 terabyte version. The 6 terabyte version, I think, is $4,500. Then there's the cost of the movies. So it's expensive, but it's really good. So let's see. What else can I tell you about? I wrote a piece on AVS about a new technology. It's not so new, actually, but it was new to me that I saw at the SMPTE conference, which is the problem is that with large home theaters and all commercial cinemas, they put the speakers behind the screen. So how does the sound get through the screen? Well, in a commercial cinema and some home theaters, it's perforated. The screen material has tiny little holes in it. You can also use what's a woven material, a screen material that's actually woven, and the little tiny holes between the threads that are woven together let the sound come through. But there are compromises. Depending on the projection technology, you can get kind of some visual artifacts, and you have to do some EQing to get the sound right. Well, this company called Delaire in France does it a different way. It takes little tiny, small-ish transducers, vibrating, wiggling things, and connects them, attaches them directly to the screen material, which can then be solid, flat, perfect screen material, projection screen material. And these little transducers actually shake the screen, and that is what sends the sound out into the room. Similar to the Sony A1E OLED, which does the same thing. And you might think, well, wouldn't you see that? No, because they only do the high frequencies and the middle high frequencies. Lower frequencies are handled by regular speakers, which can also be behind the screen, interestingly enough. And the sound passes right through because the wavelength is so long.
Scott, I thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I will see you next week, yes?
You bet you will.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk tech, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones and smartwatches, all that jazz. We were up, many of us, not all of us, many of us were up late Thursday night. Had to be online at midnight because that's when Apple put the iPhone X on pre-order. And as always happens, it was a mess. Actually, it doesn't always happen. The iPhone 8 pre-orders were singularly easy and smooth because nobody was buying the iPhone 8. I think there was a serious. It was insufficiently improved over the iPhone 7 and 6S. And with this iPhone X on its way, I think there was definitely a lack of interest in the iPhone 8. And that seems to have continued. There's no lack of interest in the iPhone X merely by judging the difficulty in getting one at midnight on Friday morning. It was murder. I did what I always do, and it didn't work very well. My goal, of course, is to have one the first day that it's available, which would be November 3rd, this Friday, so that I can review it for the show November 4th, a week from today. I failed spectacularly in this effort. So what I did, and I'm telling you, it's embarrassing to even say that I did this. I stayed up. I didn't go to bed. I just stayed up, and I sat in my home office. I have two computer screens, one tuned to my the website of my carrier, T-Mobile, the other on the Apple Store. I had an iPhone, which was running the Apple Store software, and an iPad also running the Apple Store software. And then with those four screens, I, in a round-robin fashion, refreshed and refreshed and refreshed. Minutes before midnight, of course, the store is closed, and so there's nothing to do. On the T-Mobile, they don't close their store. They just, when you pre-order an iPhone X, it offers you an iPhone 8. It never stopped doing that for the rest of the evening, so that was out. I'm told, though, that the people were smart enough, and I don't know why I didn't think of this. I just figured it's midnight. I can't call T-Mobile, but yes, you could. And people who did this with their carriers, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile, for the most part, got what I was trying to get, which was a new iPhone X configured to my tastes, delivered on Friday. Me, foolish me, I thought, well, I'm a geek. I'll do this all on the internet. In the past, I've had great results with the Apple Store. That usually seemed to, on the iOS app, that seemed to be the most efficient way to do it. So I refreshed the iOS app many times. My wife, meanwhile, had gone to bed, but she got up. She set her alarm. She got up. She's lying in bed. She's refreshing the Apple Store and got through. So apparently the Apple, because I never did get through, apparently the Apple Store was being rationed, and they weren't opening it entirely. They were opening it to, but she was on the same IP address to me, so I don't know how that worked. Somehow she got through when I did not. She still didn't get one on November 3rd. It was very difficult to get one on November 3rd, probably because they're quite a limited supply. So she got one the following week, November 10th. Mine will come November 17th. But my good friend Megan Maroney, who does a show about iOS with me, was able to get hers from Sprint November 3rd. A number of people in our chat room got it November 3rd as well. So congratulations to you. You will be the first in your group to have an iPhone 10. But I will have access to some iPhone 10s, so I'll have a chance to at least review the Face ID. I think that's the thing that's most interesting to me. And of course, you will want to look at the screen because Google has had some real trouble with its screens on its new Pixel 2, particularly the large Pixel 2 XL. People are reporting kind of an ugly granularity to the screen, and more importantly, burn-in. After just a week or two, they're able to see the back recents and home button on an Android. Those are always on the screen. They're burned in. You can't, even if you change to something else, you still see them dimly, but still, that's not good. After a couple of weeks, that's really not good. So, and I'll get my Google XF 2 XL. I won't get mine till I'm losing my touch till November 17th. So I'm just losing my touch here. It seems, I have to say, I'm kind of disgusted by the whole process. To spend, you're begging basically Apple to let them, to take your money. Please, Apple. Apple's also announced that they will have some in stores on Friday. And they say line up early. This has been apparently an internal debate at Apple. Many people at Apple, I think, believe that it is bad customer service to make people line up. And I think the chief advocate, the person who actually won, is their senior vice president of retail sales, Angela Ahrens. She came to Apple from Burberry, where she was CEO and very successful there. She really, I think, is focused on customer experience and thinks it's better to have people be able to order it and pick it up at the store or just not get in line for it. But then there are others at Apple, I'm sure, who say, yeah, but boy, the publicity is great, man. All those TV reports, and get ready, you're going to see them. People waiting in line for days and days. I'm sure there's people lined up right now in New York City at I guess the mothership Apple store on Fifth Avenue. I'm sure there's already people lined up. And you probably will want to get in line at least 12 hours ahead of time. The evening before the store opens on Friday, if you have any hope of getting one. Apple never says that, but do they have one iPhone 10 in each store or do they have 1,000? We don't know. I remember the last time I did this, I think was for the iPhone. It was several years ago, probably the iPhone 6. And I remember looking, you could peer through the window at our local mall at the Apple Store and see stacks of 6 lined up. So you had some sense that there were at least a bunch of them. I hope they do the same thing with the 10. Oh, you can't go to the Fifth Avenue store. That's right. Mike B., who lives in nearby in New Jersey, says it's under construction. So you'll have to go to the, I guess, the Grand Central Station store or the one in Soho. I bet you there are people lined up. I am not going to get in line. I got in line for the very first iPhone back in 2007. It was a wonderful experience. You met great people. But my dignity, I'm just embarrassed. Oh, it's on Times Square? The old FAO Schwartz store is now an Apple store. Okay, so maybe that's where they're lined up. I'm just embarrassed by this whole process. It seems a very first world issue, doesn't it? Here we are. People don't even have power. 83% of Puerto Rico still doesn't have power, but we're lining up to spend $1,150 on a phone we don't even need in most cases. I certainly don't need it. I just got a new iPhone a month ago, the iPhone 8. It's embarrassing. My only excuse is, well, I'm doing it for you. because I want to be able to tell you. Again, Face ID is the thing that I think is going to be the most important. And frankly, we won't. The day after wouldn't be a good time. You need to review it for a week or two to see if it, for instance, gets faster and smarter, or slower and dumber. How accurately it can detect whether you even if you're wearing glasses. For instance, Windows Hello, which is a face recognition feature I really like in Microsoft Windows 10 machines. I trained it, but it recognizes me without glasses, but not with glasses. It's that finicky. Apple says, "Oh no, you can grow a beard; it'll still know it's you." Well, we'll see, won't we? We shall see. 8888 Ask Leah. We're going to go back to the phones in just a bit. Are you going to? Did you get an iPhone 10? Are you going to get in line on Thursday? I think you'd have to get in line on Thursday to have a chance at it. And get ready. We'll all be watching the local news, and you'll see all those people in line. First person in line always gets the interview, so that's why there's people there now. Usually they're promoting something. Can I tell you about my app? My website? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's go to the phones right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I suspect this song from Michael Cozier, our musical director, is to comment on my fabulous appearance when wearing my Snapchat spectacles. Here come old flat top. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The spectacles, Snapchat spectacles are a really good example of viral marketing gone bad. Do you remember these? These were the sunglasses that have a built-in camera that worked with Snapchat. And man, they were popular. They were hot when they first came out because Snapchat brilliantly played upon scarcity to get people to line up for these. At first, you had to wait until you got a message saying where the store was, and it would be in weird places like it wasn't a store, it was a vending machine, and they would just drop it in weird places like the desert, like miles from anywhere. People would line up, they would flock, they would find it, they would get it. They weren't very expensive, $100. So, then they started doing pop-up stores in cities. Eventually, they made the Snapchat spectacles widely available. The problem is they had sold so many when it was not available, when it was very scarce, 150,000 according to Snapchat, that they thought in their minds, oh, this is a hit. We've got a massive consumer product. And they ordered many, many more, hundreds of thousands of more. And the story is, and it's not confirmed by Snap, but I believe it. The story is that there are warehouses full of these spectacles that no one wants anymore because they're not scarce. So maybe this is Apple's marketing strategy. Make that iPhone 10 scarce. Everybody will want it. It might be worth waiting, to be honest. It might be worth waiting and seeing the reviews. I'm not sure I would rush to get an iPhone 10. On the other hand, if you buy it today, it's 4 or 5 weeks out. Last time I checked, you'd have time to cancel it. So maybe buy it today, knowing that you'll get it next month, but also knowing you can cancel it. You can cancel it, in fact, 2 weeks after you get it. I think you can bring it back to Apple. Back to the phones we go at 8888 Ask Leo. Henry is in Garden Grove, California. Hi, Henry.
Hello.
Thanks for hanging on. What can I do for you?
Well, about a week and a half ago, I turned on my computer, and I got a message that said hard drive failure. And it said you can push F1 or F2. I pushed F1, and I got, I forget the exact words, SATA 0, SATA 1, SATA 2. I turned it off, restarted it a couple times, got the same message, waited a couple days, tried it again, got the same message. So I figured I'd call you today. And just before I called you, I turned it on so I could give you exactly what the words were, and it started fine.
Oh, quickly. Copy everything off of it.
So, yeah. My question is, do I go out and buy a new computer, or do I pull out this hard drive, copy it to a new hard drive, and put the new hard drive in?
I would at least copy it right now. So hard drives die. I mean, that's the fact. In fact, it's the most likely piece of your computer to start suffering from age. Google, who uses a lot of hard drives, you wouldn't think, it feels like they're kind of in the cloud, they're just kind of magically operating, but no, every search you do hits hard drives. They have millions of hard drives in use. They issued a report a few years ago about hard drive longevity. What they found was then they use consumer grade off-the-shelf hard drives just like you and me. When you buy a hard drive, if it doesn't die right away, like in the first month or two, and there's some percentage you're going to, then it'll last a year or two. And then if you look at the curve, it slowly ramps up. Maybe 5 or 10% of them die every year from then on. So the age, because it's a spinning thing, age definitely impacts hard drives. When you get an error like that, it could be a lot of things. It could be a hard drive, could be your controllers having problems, could be in other words, your motherboard because your hard drive's connected. Is it a laptop or a desktop?
Desktop.
Yeah. So you might check the cables and everything, but the real problem is you don't know if it's going to work the next time you boot up.
Exactly.
So the first thing to do is keep it running.
Okay.
And find an external device, a USB key or another hard drive you can copy your most precious stuff onto.
Okay, I do have carbonite, so...
Oh, you could. But I would still make a local backup as well.
Right, okay.
Because you really, you may have just lucked out, and it may be that if you rebooted, it wouldn't start again. And it may be that it's fixed. We don't know. That's the problem. So making a backup is the prudent thing to do. And at that point, you can do what HAL 9000 suggested in 2001: A Space Odyssey. I suggest, Dave, we put the unit back in and let it fail. That just, you might continue to run and just see if it fails again. I would open it up, look at the cables, make sure they're fully connected.
Okay, that's easy.
Is it just one hard drive?
Yes, just one.
The fact that you were getting, and I know that it's a not exact error message, but the fact that you were seeing, SATA is the hard drive connection technology, SATA. Serial ATA. The fact that you were seeing 0, 1, 2, inside every computer you have the capability of attaching multiple hard drives, usually 4 or more. And so you'll have 4 connectors and cables. You only using one, but so if one died, I'd maybe say it would say SATA 0 has failed. But if you saw more than SATA 0, so SATA 1, 2, 3, that might indicate that there's something wrong with the controller.
Okay, well, it said SATA 0, 1, 2, 3, and then a space, and then there was another word next to each of the lines. That said,
yeah.
And
so
I can't remember what those words were.
Were they all the same? Were they like different?
words.
So it's doing a check, and it may be SATA 0 failed, SATA 1, 2, 3 passed. Mm-hmm. But next time notice, because if all of them are bad, then that indicates the controller, not the drive.
Okay.
And that the controller, unfortunately, on most computers is not a separate board that you can replace. It's the motherboard. So, I would, but it could be a cabling. It could be, loose. Cables come loose. Could be a loose cable. So I would open it up, just check, make sure it's clean inside, and then make sure, just unplug and replug the cables. These new SATA cables are pretty reliable. They're not prone to falling off like the old ATA cables are, or IDE cables. But I would check, and then it's up to you whether you feel a new hard drive's cheap.
Yep.
So it's really up to you whether you feel like taking a chance and just seeing what happens, or maybe getting a new hard drive. The problem is if it's not the hard drive, you wasted money.
Yeah, but they're not that expensive.
Yeah, they're under $100. What you could do is put a second drive in and copy the stuff over. You can even buy software that will make the second drive be a duplicate of the first. And then if it does fail, you just switch cables and you're good to go. Okay.
And the computer's several years old anyway, so if it doesn't fail today, it's going to fail fairly soon.
All hard drives fail eventually.
Right. Yeah. Would it be better to go to a solid state than a spinning?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. In fact, what I would consider doing is making the solid state the boot drive. That way it doesn't have to be as big, and keeping that old hard drive as a data drive, as long as it doesn't fail, again. That's a good combination. If you have a tower case where you have room for it, the best way to do a solid state is, because they're more expensive per gigabyte. So you get a 128 or a 256 gig solid state drive, put the operating system and programs on there. That way your system will boot. It'll boot 10 times faster to go, and then programs will load faster, and you keep your data on the spinning disk because you can get bigger capacity for less.
Okay. And can you recommend a program that will copy the data from?
Yeah, there are quite a few. Just to copy it off, I would drag it.
Okay.
But for when we come back, I'll talk about synchronizing drives, because that's maybe something, if you have 2 drives, you would want to think about. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Johnny Jet, Leo, our traveling guy. Hey, Johnny.
Hello, Leo.
Welcome to the show once again. You're back home.
Yes,
now we
nice
can talk.
Home.
Johnny was in New York City to speak at Carnegie Hall.
I can actually say I performed at Carnegie Hall, although it wasn't like the real
well,
deal,
you were,
because I was there for a private event.
Yeah, but that counts. Is it cool?
It was an amazing experience. I mean, Carnegie Hall is and you know, actually, we were upstairs. They have these huge offices out there and different boardrooms and things like that. And the views are amazing. You can just see a little peek through a Central Park.
But, like, did you find where Bob Dylan scratched his name in the door jamb or anything like that?
No.
No?
No, I didn't see any of that stuff.
No yo-yo ma on the
I was too worried
mirror?
Concentrating on my script and speech. And
you did
like
good,
that.
Though, right?
I'm happy to report I did. I'm very relieved.
Oh. I've
never been more stressed in my life that week.
It's scary,
and it wasn't just because of that. After that, then I get back to the hotel after I did the speech, and Jack is sick, and it's the first time he ever had a fever.
Yeah, I remember those
And I was
days.
like, I don't know what to do. He's 1 years old.
Yeah.
So I called my brother up. He lives in nearby Connecticut. He's like, listen, dude, you're in New York City. The best doctors in the world are right at your fingertips. Just go to Google and type in New York City pediatrician urgent care.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And that's where I come up with my app of the week. Ooh. Because it turns out it's an app as well. But I found this service called Baby Doctor. And they serve New York City and the greater New Jersey area. And it had like 75 reviews, all 5 stars. So I was like, you know what? I'll call them up. And I called them. And the guy took our information. He's like, all right, it's $250 for us to come to the room. We'll be there within an hour.
They come to the hotel. Like, that's great.
Yes. And this is what's so great about it for travelers, because pretty much everyone goes in New York City. And if you're going in and out of New York, you got to check out the service. If you ever need it, hopefully you don't. And it's good not just for babies. It's for kids from 1 day old to 17 years old.
Any kid that would use a pediatrician.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
and it's
I
house
found them
calls.
through Google.
That's so cool.
House calls, but the doctor who came to our hotel said they do a lot of hotel visits. Actually, most of them are hotel visits.
Sure. Visitors are in town and they get a fever and you call the baby doctor.
Yeah. And so anyway, they texted me saying when they'll be there. They showed up then. And the doctor came in. She spent 90 minutes with Jack.
What?
And actually told us what he needed. They said, go get some children's Tylenol, which we had. But they said also get Advil for children. So I had to go to a pharmacy. But in New York City, there's one on every other block.
Yeah.
And I had to buy a few different things. So I went and she waited, played with Jack and Natalie while I was gone. No, an hour and a half.
Doctor.
But the best part about it, and they had no idea that I'm going to talk about it or wrote about it. I paid full price, everything like that. But she texted Natalie all throughout the night and saying, this is what you need to do. How's he doing? She even left his heartbeat monitor to make sure because his heartbeat was high.
Oh, that's
and I guess
great.
that happens when kids
Boy, you feel like you're getting
sick.
great care, don't you? That's neat. Babydoctor.com. And look, they also do hotel visits for circumcisions.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
I know they do.
I don't know.
I read that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't want to be in the hotel room next door when that happens.
Yeah. And then they have a lactation consultant who will come to you as well. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, they call it the Uber of pediatricians in New York because you need one, you press a button.
This.
Although, I'm just looking at it in the App Store and I can't find it because I didn't use it via
just use the
app.
website, babydoctor.com.
Yeah, but this is my app of the week, so I needed to. I just literally was scrambling.
We've just converted to the website of the week.
Yeah, well, I have a website. Actually, no, that's good. This is website of the week.
You can do 2 websites. That's fine.
No, I actually have an app coming up.
Okay.
So
I don't see an app on their website. I see an 800 number and I see the website, but I don't see an app.
Yeah, but then Jack's temperature went down, and then like a day later, it went back up, and she's like, "You need to go to the hospital." And
dear.
And so anyway, she said, "We already called the hospital. They have your name. You're ready to go. Just take them right in. They'll go right to triage, and that's what happened. And fortunately, the doctor in the emergency room said, "You know what? He's going to be all right. He just looks like he has a little bit of an ear infection."
Oh, good.
But just the service was really impressive.
I hope you have insurance.
That's what I want to talk about.
That's all I can say.
I do.
It's not the $250 I'm worried about. It's the hospital visit.
According to the to their website, actually, the average ER costs the visit is $1,500. So I'm waiting for that.
That's nothing. Nothing. That's just like an hour there. Spend a night.
Well, but luckily we were only there an
thank
hour
goodness. Yeah.
or two.
Thank goodness.
All right.
You might need another doctor after you get the bill for your heart.
Yeah, for my stress. Exactly.
Anyway, I'm glad it went well. I'm glad, and Jack's fine now.
Yeah, and we were actually I was supposed to be calling in right now from Florida. I was going to check out this new resort, the Hutchinson Island Resort. We were flying down there, and I canceled that trip.
Aww.
And the organizers in Delta, they just said no problem. We changed our ticket, and we got to fly back Delta One, which is really awesome. And actually, when you sit up front, they give you these Toomey bags, little Toomey bags. The amenities.
You're living like a jet setter. That's like the Toomeys are those like hard-sided, expensive, fancy bags you see people carrying around, and it's a little one. It's a little amenity kit. Actually, one of my buddies says they sell these online. You can buy them on eBay for like $100. Like, really? I'm selling mine. Yeah, don't open your Toomey. No, I'm selling mine. You can't. You're not allowed to. You're Johnny Jet. It's a little too public. A little too public. All right. So here's my website. Yes. It's called peerspace.com. PEER space.com. Is this somewhere you can co-work? No, this is actually so. People are always on like Airbnb finding great places to stay. Well, this is one if you're traveling for either you want to do a wedding or you want to have some kind of party, and this shows you the places where you can host them. And these are event spaces. Exactly. Thank you. Oh, nice. Short-term rentals for events. Film shoots, birthday parties, baby showers, workshops, weddings. Cool. Yeah, and they started out in San Francisco, but now they're all over there. Well, they're not all over. They're in L.A., New York, Chicago, Austin, Seattle, Berlin, London, and Paris. Oh, that's all over. Yeah. So they have all different kinds of. Yeah. So if you're traveling for some kind of event, I mean, this might be more for not just event organizers, but also. I've hosted parties before for my dad's birthday party, although we go to Vegas. We do this sometimes. This would be useful for us because if we go to New York, we might want to have what they call a meetup. And we tell all our fans, we're going to be, usually we just find a bar. Yeah, it'd be cheaper that way. We had one at Rattle and Hum in New York City a couple of years ago. But this would be better because a bar is a bar. So this would be nice, like art galleries and all sorts of places. That's Peer, P-E-E-R, space.com. And both of these. You have another one? Go ahead. Well, I have a deal right now. Actually, I just got a newsletter. I signed up for every different deals newsletter. San Francisco to Honolulu, 288 round trip. Kona, 296. Maui, 288. And this is from November through, looks like May and August of next year, but excluding obviously Thanksgiving and New Year's. And I just clicked the link that they put in there, January 14th to 288. Lisa, amazing. Lisa, go book it quick before it goes away. And Hawaii, it looks like from LA is $100 more, or actually it's $412. Very nice. You see, this is the stuff. Trip. That's great. Follow Johnny on Twitter at JohnnyJet, or go to JohnnyJet.com because you get his travel newsletter. This is the kind of stuff you get, plus links to the places he talks about. Maybe you'll get an invitation to his next event at Carnegie Hall. Johnny Jet, our traveling guy. Hey, thank you, Johnny. Some good tips. Thank you. I want to go to Kona. I'm ready. Buy my ticket. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I won't leave yet. We'll answer some calls after this. Nice. Lisa and I are thinking of retiring in Hilo. That's our latest thing. Yeah, I like rain. I don't want to be on the dry side. Okay, because is it I remember my first time to Hilo. Yeah. I was like, my God, there's no beaches. Oh, wait a minute. I want a beach. There's no beach? Have you been to Hilo? No, I've only been to Maui. It's the only place I've ever been. Okay. Actually, we were walking by, when we landed yesterday, we were walking by one of the gates, and it was to Kona. I was like, Natalie, you want to go? She was like, no, I don't really like Kona that much. The Big Island's completely different than the other islands because, there's not a lot of sandy beaches, especially in Hilo. It's really wet. And I like Hilo because it's really authentic Hawaii. That's what I want. I want Polynesia. I want authentic culture.
And there was never any good hotels there. I remember I used to.
No, we want to buy a house on the beach. But if you say there's no beach, that's kind of a drag.
I would do some more research.
Although Anthony Tortiello, who lives there, says Hilo's way better. Hilo's amazing. He says he loves Hilo. He says Chumley says Kona is a tourist trap. Jump over to Hilo.
Yeah. Well,
Hilo's a lot cheaper because it's the rainy side. Nobody wants to live there.
It is, and it's more authentic. And,
that's what I want. I want spam.
Yeah, I would be a better place to live because there's not a lot of tourists.
Yeah, I don't want to be where it's touristy. I want to where it's peaceful. I kind of want a beach near there, though. I'm worried.
I know there's beautiful rainfalls around there. I don't remember ever going to the
beautiful
beach.
Waterfalls too. Yeah.
Sure, there's beautiful waterfalls.
Yeah, because it rains 148 inches a year. But I can live with that as long as every other day is sunny. I don't want it to rain for 3 weeks straight. But
you could always just drive across.
Yeah, it's dry in Kona.
Around the island, not across. So.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just thinking for when I'm like 75. When I'm your dad's age. I'm not talking now.
My dad's 88.
I know. I want to live somewhere beautiful. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 88. Ask Leo. Dana in Rancho Santa Margarita is next. Hey, Dana.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. My question is, I have an iPhone 7 was fully updated to 11, and I have a Acura MDX 2015, and right before I updated to iOS 11, and then subsequently, the phone will not connect my contacts and display my contacts, and so therefore I can't use the card to make a phone call. And Honda Motor Company says it's Apple, and Apple says it's Honda, and I'm stuck in this vortex.
Yes, and I see similar problems from others as well. Probably Apple broke it. Obviously they did. It worked before you went to iOS 11, right?
Well, actually, my problem started a week or a few days before I went to 11, which Apple says is unique. But mine, like a couple days before I upgraded, it was starting to have the problem. And every once in a while, it would show some contacts, and other times no contacts. And now, if I connect someone else's phone to it, the contacts show up. If I do anything, make a phone call, the contacts disappear. So they show for a moment, and then they're gone.
And I presume you've tried forgetting your phone and repairing it.
I've done everything up until including Apple sent me a new phone.
Whoa, that's interesting. Well, now we know it's not the phone hardware.
Right.
And it's probably, I would guess and this is not unusual, especially with older, and yours isn't that old, but cars that aren't brand new and new operating systems. Something went wrong, right? And I'm seeing so many problems just like this. I'm looking at the Mac Rumors forum, but there are other places as well. And I don't know what the fix is because nobody seems to have solved it. They're just complaining about it. So now I do see one post that says iOS 11.0.1 released. Nope, didn't fix it. Take it back. One would hope that Apple would fix it. You're not going to get Honda to fix it, of course, because well, there's not much they can do to fix it. I guess they could. There probably is firmware in that car, but they don't update firmware on cars very often. So what you?
Well, that's the Apple said that. They said, "Oh, have you had an update firmware?" And I said, as far as Honda's concerned, you own the car, buy a new one. I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, that's really the solution. I think it's great that Apple sent you a new phone. That's kind of remarkable.
Well, I ended up talking to a senior tech, and I explained, and I've been known as politely persistent as a person, and they sent me one and didn't do a thing.
Yeah. I'm looking at all these comments, and it doesn't seem like anybody's solved this. This has been going on ever since the iOS 11 update. Sounds like there's an incompatibility, and it's up to Apple to figure out what's wrong. I would guess, if you can live with it, that at some point there'll be an update. We're up to 11.03 right now, I think. At some point, there'll be an update that will fix it. There's enough Honda owners that, it should be fixed. Right. And I think it's really only Apple that's going to be able to fix it. So,
okay.
One thing you could, if you really feel ambitious, you could do is sign up for the public beta of iOS, and that would get you up to 11.1. That's the current public beta. The way Apple works, and this is actually one of the ways they avoid this kind of thing, is they have a very wide open pre-test system where anybody can sign up who has an iPhone, and you have to create a developer account, but that's free, and then you can update to 11.1. Beta.apple.com if you want to try that. What you'll have to do is download a little small file from Apple on your phone that says that you're in the beta program, and then you'll get pushed an update to 11.1. Now, I can't guarantee that will fix it, and it may introduce other problems, because remember, beta means testing. And Apple's idea is if we test this with millions of people, and I imagine there's that many people doing it, we will catch bugs like this particular bug before we release it to the public. But sometimes what happens is fixes come out early, too. So, yeah, there's really not much you can do, I don't think. You've done the things that you need to do. You tried a different phone. That's going above and beyond. You've, of course, forgotten the phone. I know you did, because you had to repair the new phone. Usually you'll get a permissions request when you do that says, can we access your contacts? That is a permissions issue. And the iPhone needs to pop up a box that says, do you allow the Honda to see your contacts? And you say yes. Did you see that when you got the new phone?
No.
So
if you see that on the screen of the car, but you don't see it on. It didn't ask me that on the phone.
I would guess that's related. Yeah, I would guess that's related because, of course, as you know, and rightly so, Apple is very careful not to give third parties access to your personal information without your explicit permission. So I would guess that is part of it. You might be able to, I'm not sure where you would find this, but if you could find, let me look in the Bluetooth, if you get permissions associated with Bluetooth connections. I guess you don't. Yes, you do. So one more thing you can do is go into the Bluetooth settings. There's an I for information next to your car. So it'll say Honda Acura, and then it'll be an I. And in there is a bunch of information, including a sync contacts button, which contacts to be syncing, and so forth. Make sure that permission is turned on.
Yes, I did that, and it is turned on.
Okay. Well, then there's, I think you've done everything you could reasonably be expected, and it sounds like you're just going to have to hope that Apple pushes a fix out and that you'll get it.
When I said to Honda, gee, this isn't safe because I have to pick up my phone to make a call, their suggestion was don't make a call.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my suggestion as well.
Okay.
Last thing you want to do is pick up the phone. You know, you can have Siri do it.
Well, I've come to learn that, and that's what I've been doing. Yeah,
so but Siri will, I don't know if she'll go by contact. You can certainly do it by number, but she might, if Siri has access to your contacts. So if you talk to the phone, that's actually the safest thing of all.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I've been doing. I hey Siri and ask to call.
Sounds like your wife agrees. I hear your wife saying, "Yeah, that's what you should be doing."
Yeah. Well, she agrees with you, Leo. Not necessarily
well,
me.
she's a smart woman.
Right.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah, she says, Dana, just use Siri. I know, Siri drives me nuts too, but that's one thing Siri's good for.
Okay.
Thanks, Dana.
Very good.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Yeah. And fellas, this is why it's good to be married, because you need somebody who will say to you, yeah, that's what you should be doing. Bob in San Diego, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bob.
How are you, Leo? Haven't talked to you in a long time.
Welcome back. We missed you.
Yes, I got to tell you, I've got problems with my iPhone, and here's the issue. And just back up. A year ago, I had 3 consecutive remanufactured iPhone 6S's, and they had touchscreen problems. Finally, a friend of mine says, "You know what a remanufactured phone is?" He says, "That's the phone that someone spends a half an hour on and comes back trying to fix it."
Yeah.
And he says, "Tell them you need a brand new phone." So they sent me a brand new. Since they didn't make the 64, they gave me a 128.
Good man.
You know.
Nice. That was nice of them.
Yes, it works wonderfully, except with the new, 11.3, there's a problem. On the calendar, when you go to put the location of the meeting you've got, it freezes up. Well, I called Apple up and they said, well, you're not the only one that has this problem.
Oh, Lord. You got to wonder what is going on at Apple that their quality control has gone down so much that they're shipping operating systems with problems that are just obvious.
Yeah,
I've had lots of cosmetic issues with iOS 11, things getting stuck. Just exactly as you described. You just have to wait till it gets fixed. A new phone will not fix it.
No. So I'll tell you one way I found around it a little bit. I put the location down in the notes, and then I cut and pasted up into
there you go.
And that takes it. But that's an extra step that you don't need to do.
No, you don't want to do it, but I understand. But
So Apple called me back on Wednesday. A very nice Angel was her name, very nice lady, and I talked to several people about this. The one thing I found with Apple, various people talked about, we did a reset of the phone to the factory settings. That didn't change it at all. And
hang on, I got to take a break. We got news at the top of the hour. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll take more calls in just a bit. 8888 Ask Leo. I'm sorry, I had to break for the news. The network has no mercy. So yeah, that's one good. I have to say, Apple support is great.
Oh, but, no, they're outstanding.
Yeah.
They bend over backwards for you. They take control of your problem. We're going to resolve your problem.
Yeah, it's like this guy got a new phone because of a flaw in iOS 11.
Oh, well, I got the new phone because the 3 remanufactured phones didn't work.
Well, they shouldn't give you remanufactured phones. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they give them in the store, and they realized that what I was telling them was true, so that's why they sent the new one. And it's been wonderful until I uploaded the 11.01 and then 11.03, and apparently that's where it came out of, the 11.01 or 03, this problem with the calendar where when you go to the location, it freezes up. You can get one letter in, and then it freezes up.
Huh. I should try this. I actually use the Google Calendar. I don't use the Apple Calendar. But
yeah, well, someone said to me I should use the Google Calendar. My question is, does the Google Calendar have custom settings like Apple finally got on the phone instead of having it on the desktop?
Custom settings like what?
You know, like what? You have a meeting the third month of every 3 months on the third Wednesday.
Yes. Custom repeats. Yes, they have that.
And you can select that because Apple used to have that on the desktop.
You know what? You can. Here's what I would do: download the Google Calendar and try it, because I think it will be feature complete compared to the Apple Calendar. The only thing the Google Calendar doesn't do, to my knowledge, is it doesn't display the date on the screen. Only the Apple Calendar can do that.
Oh, well, that's not.
But that's one, on the icon. Not on, once you open it, it shows the date. It's just the Apple Calendar, because only Apple lets their own apps show time and day and things like that. So that's all you give up without the Apple Calendar. I think I'd probably erase the Apple Calendar. I use the Google Calendar. I'm very happy with it. It does do custom meetings, absolutely. So, yeah.
The other thing is, my provider said that they called me the other day and said, if you want to get an 8, there's a special deal for I've been with them my provider for 19 years. And they said, if you want to get an 8, then we can work out a deal for you. Now, my question is, because they didn't make a 64 at the time, Apple sent me a 128. I'm using probably about 40% of it, I think, somewhere like that. So the question is, do I get a 64 because they don't make a 128? They either make a 64 or a 256.
Yeah, you can't. There's again, Apple, they've decided in their infinite wisdom that's the two sizes. And how good a deal is it? What does it cost to get the 8?
It really is only going to cost me about $9 more a month.
Well, that's $100 more a year.
Yeah.
It's not so. You said you have a 6S, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's not so different from the 6S. It's a lot. I mean, the camera's better. it will look almost identical to you. It won't necessarily fix the calendar issue.
No, that won't be fixed until Apple does it.
Yeah, but it's a lot faster.
I heard the guy call earlier that had a lemon of an 8.
Yeah, there's lemons in everything though. I mean that's just bad luck. And
but is it worth going to an 8 from a 6S, which is working fine?
No. Not if you're happy with the 6S, no.
Yeah.
Next year, you can go to the whatever succeeds the iPhone 10.
Right.
Get the iPhone 11.
They did tell me they have a plan where after 12 months you can upgrade from the 8.
Yeah, they do that. That's the Apple upgrade. It's
right.
You'd have to do the math, but my memory, having done the math in the past, is it costs a little bit more than buying it outright. And the only reason it's an issue for actually it does and it doesn't. What you would have to do is sell the old phone at a good price through a third.
They're saying that if I turn the phone in, they'll give me the better deal.
Yeah. That's part of the upgrade is you turn in your phone. It has to be in good shape, and then they give you the new phone, and then they just get you every month for the rest of your life. You know, if you're comfortable with the monthly, that's a nice thing because you do get the latest features. In general, though, Apple doesn't make enough changes to its iPhone year to year that it's worth it. I would say you want a new iPhone every 2 or 3 years, which is why your 6S, it just, it depends what kind of person you are. Most people, the 6S is fine. One advantage you have, I think you still have a headphone jack, which is very nice. Do you ever use your headphone?
No, I use a Bluetooth.
Okay, so you're a good candidate for upgrading because that's the big sacrifice from a 6S to anything newer is you lose the headphone jack.
But but Apple makes those ear things for $150.
Yeah, I like them. I like them. They're real easy to lose.
I can see.
I've only lost one pair so far.
Well, I almost won a set at a show. There were 3 of us at a show, and the guy was going through the barrel for business cards, and he pulled the guy next to me instead of mine because there were only 3 of us standing there when he was giving them away.
Oh, man. That's a good giveaway.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was $159.
Yeah, they're expensive. And they're, but if you use Bluetooth, they're the best Bluetooth headphones made, I think.
Oh, really?
In terms of convenience, they have the speech is really excellent on these, so that when you talk to somebody, they won't know you're on a Bluetooth headset.
I've got a Plantronics Legend, and it's
that's very good too. No, that's very good too. But yeah. What Apple does in these new phones, not yours, but in the newer phones, they have a special chip in the phone and in the ear pods that makes pairing a snap. All you have to do to pair it is open up the case, and the phone goes, "Oh, I see your AirPods. Would you like to?" It's very simple. So there are certain advantages to it because Apple makes both of the devices. But I don't think sound quality not necessarily better than anything else. It's just the convenience factor.
The question is, it really isn't worthwhile necessarily.
I don't think so. And I mean, it's $9. Maybe do it next year. I don't do and I get a new iPhone every time one comes out. I don't do the yearly upgrade thing, even though I know I'm going to get a new one. So it seems more economical to me to just buy it outright.
Well, the question I have is, do I go back to a 64 or go to the 256, which would cost about $100 up front to do the 256?
Have you used up all the memory in your 64?
Well, 64, I was pretty close, but this is a 128.
I see. And I went with 256 because you're now taking video at a higher quality that takes up more space.
Right.
I like having extra space because then I can put all my music on here. I have every song I own is on here because you got the space, right? So
right, exactly.
there's something to be said for that. But again, this is all I can't decide for you. You just have to. It's going to kind of.
Let me. So if I go to a 256 now, the next time I upgrade, I'm starting from a 256.
That's right. That's right.
And it won't cost any more to go to it.
It'll cost whatever you're paying for the 256. The cost, they don't raise the cost every month. The next one is going to just be the same.
No, well, the 256 is a flat $100 up front, they said.
Oh. Well, I'd ask them. What about next year? Will I have to pay more per month? So you're not doing the upgrade deal. You're just buying it. Yeah, it's worth $100. Look, let me put it this way. I spent $100 extra to get 256.
Oh, okay.
Because I was also coming from a 128. 128 was fine for me, but hey, now that I've got 256, I've got I've got 20 books on here. I've got, I mean.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought about, because I don't have that many pictures. I don't have any music.
Yeah,
I'd like to have some music.
It's really about media that takes space. Hey, I got to run. Thank you, Leo Laporte. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, and why they don't work right. A lot of people unhappy with iOS 11 on the iPhone. Apple seems to be really... maybe, is it my imagination? But I think part of the problem is computers and phones are much more reliable than they used to be. See, I mean, if you go back to Windows 95, you'll remember constant blue screens of death. But then we went, we improved it, and it got more reliable. Your Macintosh more reliable, doesn't crash as much. iPhones have been very reliable. Android phones very reliable. So when they do crash, it's a big deal. When they don't work right, it's a big deal. So in a way, I can't really beat them up for poor quality control, because the standard is higher now. They really are much more reliable than they used to be. But it's bad when you get an iOS update and it breaks things. That's not good. And little things, one of the stories that Apple's getting a lot of heat for, and it is a very minor thing, is their calculator. The calculator on on iOS 11, and I think this might have happened with earlier versions of the iPhone, is very pretty. It's designed to be pretty, and it has animations. When you touch a button, the colors change, and it's beautiful. But there's a problem with those animations. It doesn't register key presses until the animation is done. So you can't use the Apple calculator quickly, because it'll give you bad results. If you do 1 + 2 + 3 very quickly, you'll get some unknown number, which is a combination of 1 + 2 + 3, and I got 21. Now, I know 1 + 2 + 3 does not equal 21. Here's the problem. If you're doing a lot of numbers on the calculator, and you're still careful, 1 + 2 + 3 +, there might be at one moment where you did just a little fast and you got an error in there, and you won't really know. Your number will be wrong at the end because you just were. So I don't think a calculator where you have to wait in between key presses is a very good design. But that's what Apple put out. And to me, that's a bug, like a massive bug, because you won't even know about it. And if people hadn't publicize this, nobody would know. A calculator that doesn't get the right result because you used it too quickly on a modern phone. This is the fastest chip ever put in an iPhone, on the iPhone 8. It's the A11 Bionic. It is as fast as a laptop computer. But the calculator's too slow to be used at a normal speed? Come on, man. That's crazy. So, yes, iPhones are in general more reliable. They crash less. Computers are generally more reliable. They crash less. But I have to ding a company where they pay so little attention to details like that stuff is released, especially after extended beta testing with many, many people, and you still have that problem. That's not okay. That's not acceptable. That really, and they should be embarrassed. That should be embarrassing to Apple, that they would release something like that. So I guess I have to ding them for that. And it's not just Apple. There's this rush to get stuff out. Software is harder to do than ever before, and we see bugs. But I guess I expect more of Apple, and that's why it hurts more, right? You expect Apple to do it right, to be the best. That's why you're paying a premium for their hardware. They supposedly set a higher standard. But your calculator doesn't work? Come on. Your calendar freezes when you try to hit a location? Come on. That's absurd. That's just not right. Why aren't they more embarrassed by that? 8888, ask Leo. Jerry's on the line from Pennsylvania. Hi, Jerry.
Hey, Leo. I got a possible solution and a question.
Okay.
First, the solution for the guy who had a Wi-Fi problem with his timer.
Yes.
I'm going back to the old screensaver days when Patrick Norton introduced a antenna.
The Pringles antenna, made out of a Pringles tin.
Well, if this guy would take an old coffee can, cut the top and bottom off, and cut it in half long ways, and put it surround his antenna with it pointed towards the other guy's Wi-Fi router, and do the same thing on the other side, make it directional.
Yeah, the reason I don't recommend those solutions is it's one-way boost. So the problem is with Wi-Fi, it's a two-way radio, so you need to boost both ends. And I'm not sure it would really get through that wall either. So it's the Pringles can was a fun gimmick, but I'm not sure it was really a solution. You can, by the way, you don't have to make it out of a Pringles can or a coffee can. You can go and buy directional antennas for Wi-Fi. It's not an easy thing to do, because remember that you have to somehow get that antenna hooked up to the router, which means you need a proprietary dongle. Each router is different, and you need to open the router. You need to connect it properly without disconnecting the other antennas. So yes, it's an interesting idea, and you certainly can. There's lots of companies that make these extenders via more powerful, but I think it's a antenna is primarily used to eavesdrop rather than improve signal. It's because it's one way.
How about drilling a hole through the wall?
That's the best way to do it.
Putting the antenna on the outside.
Yeah, that's the best. Well, if you're going to drill a hole, just put a wire through.
into his receiver.
A hole. If the hole might even be sufficient to let the signal through. You might not need any more than a hole. I was assuming that he couldn't drill a hole through the wall, but you're right. A hole would help.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember those days. We built quite a few of those.
Yeah. Now my question, Leo.
Yes, sir.
If I go into my cell phone, I have an app there. I can listen to a local radio cast.
Yes.
Through the internet.
Yes.
And I can pause it and I can reverse it.
iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Internet Radio. There's quite a few of them.
Not that one. No, not that one. A local station of mine. They have their own.
They have their own app.
But
okay.
I can't use that because they won't let me go back and forth in time. I was wondering, when I watch your program, your podcast live, is there an app I can use to go if I want to go back and forth if I miss something?
Yeah, well, after the fact, of course, there's always a podcast, and once you get the podcast, you're downloading the whole show. You can pause it, you can rewind it, you can listen over and over again. So all the shows we do are available within a few hours of the end of the show at twit.tv/TTG for The Tech Guy, or from the Tech Guy website, techguylabs.com. But if you say, I want to do it as I'm listening, like a TiVo kind of, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's an interesting question. I don't know. It would certainly. So we're on almost 200 stations. So I'm sure some of the stations that broadcast this show have, just like the station you're listening to, have this rewind play functionality in their apps. But I don't know of a third-party app that does that. I don't think iHeart. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does iHeartRadio do that? I don't think so. And I don't think TuneIn does either.
It's my app that allows me to do it. It's not the station.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, that's right. It is a case. So the way streaming works is effectively you're downloading the file, and if your app keeps a copy of it locally, then it would be able to let you go back or pause and all of that. Just like that's what a TiVo does. It's recording as you're watching a channel. So it has a local copy of it that you can rewind. Yeah, it would require the app's functionality. I don't think TuneIn or iHeart does that. Is there a radio app that does it, that gets the Tech Guy? That's a very good question. And I'll leave it for the audience to answer. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, and like to talk high tech, I'd like to talk with you. Tom in Florida is next. Hi, Tom. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much.
What can I do for you?
I have a question about Apple's two-factor authentication and the use of Find My Phone when you have that two-factor authentication turned on.
Okay.
When I log on to my Windows, go into iClouds and log into my account, it sends the two-factor authentication number to my phone.
Right.
But I'm using Find My Phone to figure out if I left my phone at a neighbor's house or if it's out in the car or...
Oh, so you don't have your phone.
Yeah. How do you get around that?
Yeah, Apple's kind of funny this way. They do two-factor different than almost anybody else I've experienced. So if you had an iPad or some other Apple device, it would work also. So what they do, they don't send a text message. They put up a 4-digit number like on a pop-up, right?
Well, yeah, it's a 6-digit.
Okay, yeah. So they put up, it pops up, and it pops up on all your Apple devices. You only have it. The only Apple device you have, though, is the iPhone.
No, well, my wife only has an iPhone to her account. All the other Apple devices are on my account. But even when I look for my own phone, it only sends it to my phone. It doesn't send it to any of my tablets.
Oh. I wonder if there's a backup way to do a two-factor. Sometimes with two-factor, they'll give you a secondary way of doing it.
I mean, you know, if I would actually lose the phone.
Right. Well, normally, yeah, right. And you want to use Find My iPhone on a Windows machine, but it says before you can use this, you gotta enter that 6-digit code. We just sent your iPhone, which you can't find.
Yeah.
So you have to have trusted devices. I think there is a way to get, because your wife's devices are signed into your iCloud account, it should be...
Some of them.
Yeah, whichever ones are should be also getting that 6-digit. So you might want to go into the two-factor page on Apple's site and make sure that... I got another idea. Okay, here's another way you can do it. I'm looking at how Apple can do it. Apple does it. You can also add trusted phone numbers that they will either call or text to. So what you can do is go back to that two-factor page and enroll some trusted phone numbers. It could be your home phone, in which case they would call you and they would say 6 4 2 1 2 3 2. Or it could be a home phone. Yeah, or another phone like your wife's that would send the text message to. So it doesn't even have to be an iPhone. It has to be just any phone that can be called or texted. So you'll have to verify that. But that's a very good point, and I'm glad you brought it up. And if you are using two-factor anywhere, you should always, enroll multiple devices. Otherwise, there's this risk you won't be able to get that two-factor number. So what a good question. Yeah. So you lose your iPhone. You want to Find My iPhone on your computer, but it's sending a verification to your iPhone. That's no good. So make sure you enroll another phone or two into it.
The other question would be, when this started happening to me, I decided to just go back to single factor.
Yes.
And it won't let you go backwards on that. Once you take two-factor authentication, you're stuck.
What? You can't turn it off?
No, it won't let me shut it off.
I know you can shut it off. So I'm not sure. Are you doing that on your phone?
Yes.
You might have to do it on a computer. But you can turn off two-factor authentication, because I've done it, and then turn it back on again. So you'll have to go to your Apple ID account page, go to the two-factor area. That's, by the way, where you'll add trusted phone numbers as well. And in there...
iTunes?
No, it's on the web, I believe. It's appleid.apple.com. And then,
okay.
Yeah, and then when you get there, you can turn off two-step, press edit, and you can turn it off. But you can also add more phones, which is what you need to do. And there's some other features there that you might want to examine. But so what you'll do is you'll go to appleid.apple.com. In the security section, click edit. I think maybe you were looking to click that turn off button. There wasn't one. You have to press edit first, and then you'll get a pop-up that says turn off two-step verification. You can turn it off.
No, I was trying to shut it off on my phone.
Yeah, you may have to do it on the web.
ID.
Yeah, you understand why that is. They don't want somebody to steal your phone, turn off two-factor, and then log in as you. So that you need to do it through the website. Apple has. I'll put a support. Okay. I'll put the Apple support page up that gives you all the information on how to do that.
All right.
But a very good question. I'm glad you asked because I hadn't really thought about that. But it is true. So first of all, let's talk about two-factor. It's a good time to mention this. You need it. Get it. Turn it on wherever you can. And then carefully look at all the two-factor information. And if you can add a secondary email address or a secondary phone number, do, because you want to think about the scenarios where you might need to recover it. And obviously losing your phone, if it's the only way to get the second factor, isn't ideal. Taking a break, bottom of the hour, more of your calls coming up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. And I mentioned I'm going to put a link to the Apple support page for two-factor authentication. That link goes up at our website, techguylabs.com. Please take advantage of it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Jim in Charleston, West Virginia. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jim.
Hi there. How you doing today?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Except for your computer problem, right?
No. Compliment to Vizio. I know you've recommended them in the past.
Yes.
Just had some really awesome service from them, and just amazed in this day and age when so many people have problems with service to get such good service.
Yes, I love it when people share that because it's getting few and far between. So if you get good service, TVs are notoriously bad for service.
Well, that's the thing. I had bought a Vizio 60-inch last Christmas time, and about a month or so ago, I had a blue line running from the top to the bottom about 2/3 of the way across the screen. And, boy, a blue line on a TV is more of a problem than you think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a huge problem.
And gave them a call, and they asked for proof of that by sending a photo of the problem. And sure enough, they ship out a refurbished TV, and they send installers, and they take away the old TV.
Wow. Now, did you buy some upgraded support, white glove service or something like that?
Nope. Had bought it at Walmart.
Wow. And, you might have to credit Walmart maybe more than Vizio. That's pretty good. Was it Walmart that sent the people out?
No, Vizio.
Wow.
Vizio directly.
Okay.
And they had people out within a couple weeks, and
that's fantastic.
Installed it back on the wall, and
that's fantastic.
Pretty amazing.
That is something to share. Thank you. Wow, this is the first time anybody's called in years. Good news.
What's interesting about them is I saw on the TV that they had an upgrade to the software for the smart TV features, which I upgraded, which was nice.
I liked Vizio's smart TV. A lot of the smart TVs are dumb. They're really getting your way, or they're not very good. You'd be better off buying a Roku. Vizio is one of the few where I think the smart TV is pretty nice. In fact, I bought my wife a Vizio for that reason.
And they've improved it, but when they improved it, it said on the screen that to access the new features, you'd need a new remote.
Yeah.
And in fact, you entered your email address later on a website, and they send you a new remote.
Yep. Isn't that great?
Which is pretty impressive.
I'm very impressed with that. Vizio is an American company. They're built in China, of course, but they're an American company. Almost got sold to a Chinese company. Then the Chinese company struggled and changed their mind. So as far as I know, Vizio is still owned and operated out of Southern California. And it sounds like that's one of the problems I have with a lot of these TVs. The manufacturer and the company are overseas, and they just don't respond. So I think you've found a gem, and I'm glad you shared that with us. That's fantastic. You don't work for Vizio, do you?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. No, I figured not. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Leeco was the company. Leeco was the company that was going to buy them, and fortunately, that did not happen. I'm sorry, not Leeco. It is Leeco, but they capitalized the E, and I'm told it's supposed to be pronounced Leeco. Leeco, which was an up-and-comer until they struggled. It was they were going to pay $2 billion for Vizio, but the Chinese regulators put up roadblocks, and Leeco really, I think, ran into cash crunch issues. So, maybe there's something to be said for buying Vizio. It's an American-based business. Like everybody, they make their products overseas, but I'm glad to hear they're doing all right. Yeah, Leeco sounds French, but it's not. It's a Chinese company. Richard, Poway, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call. You're my
pleasure.
hero over and over. You've guided my printer, my scanner, my camera, my everything. Now I have a phone question.
Okay.
I'm not an Apple person, but I have a Droid Max, and the battery is not lasting half as much as it used to.
Yeah, they wear out. That's what, 3 years old now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Verizon told me that battery is built in; it can't be replaced. So when the battery goes, it's a throwaway. So,
that drives me crazy because everything else is fine.
Exactly.
And that's going to go in the landfill because they didn't make the battery removable. Now, even Apple will replace the battery in their phones. They have to do it because... So you're saying that Motorola won't replace the bat? You can't send it to them and have them replace the battery?
According to Verizon, it's built in. It's not replaceable.
That's criminal. Yeah, I mean, all batteries now are built in because we want thinner and thinner phones. But most companies, if you send it to the factory, will replace the battery because that's all that's wrong with that. You just need a new battery.
Correct.
It wore out. They wear out. They have about 500 charges typically. And after 500 charges, which usually takes a couple, 3 years, you're going to have exactly the experience you have, and in fact, very soon it will stop charging entirely.
That's what I'm concerned about. So my big question for you, since I follow all your recommendations, and I drive my friends crazy because I'm always saying, Leo said.
Yeah.
I listen to your show. I never miss it. I'm not a tech person. But anyway, so my next Android-type phone that would work on a Verizon system, what do you recommend?
I really like, and I would recommend the Google phones, only because Google... they own Android, and they are, more than any other manufacturer, keeping their phones up to date. So, good news is Verizon has an exclusive on the new Pixel 2 phones.
I've seen the ad, yes.
Yeah, I would go in and look at it, make sure you like it. There's the 2XL, which is this new modern, no-bezel design. It's got a bigger screen. The Pixel 2 is very much more like your Motorola. And frankly, I think you'll be comfortable with it because it's kind of pure Android, as was the Droid. Yes. And I think that's a good choice too. Every other company skins Android, sometimes to the good, sometimes not. But I would start with the Pixel 2, and then if you look at that and you say, well, and you want to see what the best screen in the world looks like, then I would go over and look at a Samsung Galaxy S8 or a Note 8. Because those have easily the best screens out there, and people have been complaining about these Google phones screens. They're feeling like there are problems with them. I don't think so, and in fact, I've ordered a XL2, and that's going to be probably my next Android phone. But if you just want to see how good a screen can look, The real problem with Samsung screens, they're not color managed. They tune the screens to be bright and aggressive and saturated. I happen to like how that looks. but some people don't. So you should look at the Samsung phones. They also heavily customize the UI. I don't think they do it in a bad way. I think it's actually a pretty good way, but it's something you should probably look at because the UI is very different on Samsung phones. But you have the chance to go in a Verizon store and look. You know, if it's, you know, given the security support that Google's guaranteeing for the next 3 years on the Pixel, that's the one I would get, the Pixel 2. Or get an older Pixel.
No, I rather, you know, my attitude, since I buy a phone like once every 3 years.
Get the Pixel 2. I think you'll like it.
Yes, and I got to comment one more thing now. Thank you. You're my hero.
Okay,
like
hang on a second, because I got to take a break. And Dick DiBartolo, the Gizwiz, is coming up, and I don't like to take away from him. But you hang on for a second. We'll talk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yes, sorry about that. Continue on.
Okay, since you were talking about Hawaii, years ago I took a vacation to Big Island and to Maui. I love the Big Island, and there are places with white sand beaches. I was in Kona, but I went up to, of course, Hilo also, and I lost my mind there. I love it.
Everybody says that. And really, that's the only debate is, do you want the wet or the dry side, right?
Exactly. But you know what? You could cover the whole island in 3 hours.
Right.
I mean,
I don't mind driving, you know, around to the beach. Maybe somewhere in between. How about that?
Exactly.
A little 6 of one, half a dozen the other. You loved it, huh?
I went there first, then we went to Maui, and after being there, I was disappointed in Maui. Everybody loves Maui, but I said next time I go, I'm going back to the Big Island. I'm staying there the whole time.
Yeah, so I've only been to Maui. We did go to Hana, which is very remote part of Maui, and is much more traditional, and I really liked that.
I've not been there.
Yeah. Hawaii Cop says, I lived there for 43 years. Living there is totally different from living there. Living here, I think he means. You won't make it living on the Big Island. That may be true. That may be true. Hey, I before we made any decisions, of course, we'd go and spend some time there. But thank you for the encouragement, Richard. I appreciate it.
That was my recommendation because after doing both, next time my mind is made up. I'm spending my whole time on the Big Island.
I'm looking for 10 years from now somewhere to retire. That's all.
Okay, well, I hate to tell you how long I've been retired.
Oh, don't make me jealous. Actually, I love my job, but even if I retire, and this is one of the considerations, I need to retire somewhere where there's enough internet that I could continue to do shows.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to stop your show.
I don't want to stop. I love doing what I'm doing. It's not work.
We'll track you down and make
you. Please do, Richard. Thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I don't want to take up more time because I know everybody else wants to talk to you also.
Thank you, Richard.
You're awesome. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, the immortal Fats Domino passed away this week at 89. Did you know Fats, Dick?
I did not. He never did Match Game, never did any of the shows I worked on. But I love his work.
Oh, how could you not love his music then? And you know what's great is here's a guy that lived the rock and roll lifestyle for longer than anybody, and he lived to a ripe old age. I think that's pretty awesome, pretty impressive. Never left his home in New Orleans. He's a New Orleans guy from beginning to end. I can understand that. What a great city.
Oh, it's it's a super place, especially for what he does.
For music,
that's the place.
Dick DiBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. He's the Gizwiz. We call him that because he's a wizard of gizmos and gadgets, and each week comes by with another sometimes crazy, sometimes serious gadget. Which is it this week?
Yeah. Well, this week is a gadget people, not so much you. Actually, the show I went to is your kind of show. I went to Photo Plus Expo.
I love that stuff.
Yes, you do, because it is for the professional photographers, people really into photography.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy showed me a zoom lens. I looked through it. I could see the East Side Studio. I mean, it's, and all that.
That's a good lens.
That's a good lens. And then I said, I can see Petaluma. And he goes, well, zoom in. And I said, what? There's more range than this? So I was looking for something that was more middle of the road. And you may not know this, but the name Polaroid is now 80 years old.
Yeah.
And so Polaroid is introducing a new camera. I'm not quite sure who owns Polaroid.
Yes, you don't think it's a continuous ownership by the same people with the land camera, but
no, it is not. It is not. So whoever owns Polaroid has come out with the Polaroid Pop, and
this is so hot right now.
Oh, you know about it?
Oh yeah,
yeah. The Polaroid Pop is, well, first of all, it still makes photos like the original. You have to be old to know the original photos that had a big white border around it.
It's an instant camera.
Exactly, an instant camera. But what's neat about it is now that it's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled, not only can you shoot instant photos, but other people in the room who are using their cameras, they can print their pictures through the Pop.
So it's a printer as well as a camera.
Exactly. And I said, wait a minute. I said, you're still making instant pictures? Who cares about this? And they said, anybody who's young and doesn't know about Polaroid.
Yep. But you know what's this is this zinc technology, and a lot of cameras now are using this. This is the current state of the art in instant photography. ZINK, right?
K, yes, Zinc Zero, and it uses dye crystals, and there's a heating thing, and it pops the picture out.
How good are the images?
The images are better than I remember the Polaroid. Now, the camera is a 20 megapixel camera. Wow. And the images are better than the original Polaroids. And, of course, you have a digital image in there, so you can send that around. There's also a little photo program in there. It's almost a 4-inch touchscreen LCD, shoots 1080p video.
So in effect, it's a digital camera, right? Because you can save the digital image, right?
Absolutely. There's a card slot up to 128 gigabytes. So
it's a digital camera with a built-in printer is what it is.
That's it. That's exactly right. Yeah. And you can print your own pictures from it, or as I said, people can send photos to it using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's a clever idea. $200.
How much? Okay, so $200 for the camera, and then how much per print?
Oh, okay. It's still about $1 a picture.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. And I was looking on shopping around, and I think it was Walmart had 20 pictures for like $17, but it's still pretty close to $1 a shot. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Do you still shake them to help them develop faster?
No. It just comes out, and it's very funny. There's a little option you can click for that I really like. Is as the picture is being processed in the camera, some little on the LCD screen, you see elves with paint throwing stuff around.
Oh, that's cute.
It's very cute. It's very cute. You can shut it off if you're a non-funny person. But I said, that is such a clever idea. Like, they're working hard to get your picture finished. It's very good.
That's very cute.
It's very cute.
Pop, P-O-P.
Polaroid Pop.
It's $200 if you don't mind it in black, at least on Amazon. Yeah, it's $50 more if you want color.
I know. But you know, Leo, since it's just coming out, there's only 2 reviews, so they probably started shipping already. Yeah. I would wait a month or 2 when it's really in the marketplace, and I'm sure people are going to start discounting it.
Yeah. I'm looking. I guess I could order it and get it today. I mean, not today, but get it in a couple of days from Amazon. So it is out.
It is out. Oh, it is out. Okay,
wait a minute. Get it as soon as October 31st. So
okay.
Tuesday.
No, they said it was going to be out the 1st of November.
Just in time for Halloween.
Yeah. Did you get your costume?
No. This happens every year. I get costume freeze. I can't pull the trigger. I can't make a decision. What is your costume?
I already went to a party. I went as a movie director. I had a French beret, a megaphone.
Did you bring a fold-up chair with you under your arm?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Oh, that's a good idea. A little megaphone, riding crop.
Yeah, exactly. And keep yelling "cut" to everybody.
T. Bartolo. I love it. His website, gizwiz.biz, gizwiz.biz, is the place to go to find out more about the Polaroid Pop, everything he mentions on this show and all the other shows he appears on. And if you click the What the Heck Is It button, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Last few days to identify a close-up picture of a gizmo that looks a lot like dentures for kind of Pennywise. So
a good guess.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I bet I'm not the only one who thought of that.
No hints.
So submit your guess, and there's 12 autographed Mad Magazines for the right answer, but there's 24 for the cleverest wrong answers. So be clever. Then, Dick, we'll see you next week.
I'll be here.
90 seconds left. Can I help Kevin in Panama City, Florida? Let's try. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Leo. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I am getting off work, riding home, and I just heard your show. New caller, by the way.
Welcome.
I love your show.
Thank you.
Question being, make it quick. I've got a home recording studio that I've been building on, and I've kind of outgrew the computer that I got, so I'm looking to expand or grow or build another one. Best thing for music production. Any ideas?
Well, it depends on how high-end you are. You know, most music studios use Pro Tools. I don't know if you're familiar. Pardon me?
I'm running FL Studio.
FL Studio. Fruity Loops, as it used to be called, is fabulous.
Fruity Loops, as it used to be called?
Yep. And that's on Windows. Generally speaking, Macintoshes are widely used in recording studios, but I think, you know, thanks to programs like Fruity Loops, there are really good solutions on Windows, and I see no reason not to use Windows. But I do mention Pro Tools because that is a hardware and software solution that the biggest recording studios prefer. So I would certainly look there. And you'll buy the hardware from them, although it's, I believe, customized Macs in most cases. So I don't think it matters. I think it really comes down to the software you're going to use more than the hardware. That's the way it's gone in the world these days. Hey, thanks for joining me. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guy show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.